have been married to my childhood sweetheart for 3 years, and we are considered the model couple in our circle. I came home early and caught my husband and my best friend entangled passionately on our wedding bed. In my previous life, after I broke down in tears and made a scene, my husband called me disgusting. This time, I calmly closed the door and walked away. Then, he took out his phone, opened a live stream with millions of followers, and aimed the camera at the tightly closed door. Folks, today I'm going to perform a show for you called Catching Cheaters Live. On the phone screen, the comments exploded instantly. Host isn't appraising treasures today, but catching cheaters instead. Wow, what is this novel live stream content? I love it. Stop shaking the camera, aim it properly. Is there any sound from the door? Why can't I hear anything? I pointed my phone's microphone toward the door crack. Ambiguous gasps and indecent flirtatious sounds, transmitted through the electric current, clearly spread across the entire internet. The number of people in the live stream instantly surged from 10 million to 15 million, then 20 million. The numbers are still jumping wildly. I heard it. X, that's my idol Ji Hwan's voice. Who is that woman? Isn't he Mr. Ji famously devoted to his wife? His wife, Ruby Shin, is the top socialite in our city. So much information. I immediately hit the share button. Come check out this epic showdown. Guys, watching the rapidly scrolling barrage of comments, a cold smirk curled at the corner of my lips. In my past life, I burst through the door like a madwoman, screaming hysterically at the adulterous couple on the bed. All I got in return was Ji Hwan's disgusted slap and Kira Sue hiding in his arms, crying pitifully with tears streaming down her face. They joined forces to send me to a mental institution, took everything from the Shin family, and in the end, let me die of illness in that cold prison. Given a second chance at life, I won't make the same foolish mistakes again. I will make them lose their reputation and everything they have. I adjusted the camera angle to capture the most dramatic scene, then pushed the door open forcefully, with a loud bang. Everything inside the door was clearly exposed to the eyes of over 20 million viewers. On the wedding bed, 2 naked bodies were entangled together. The man was my husband of 3 years. Ji Hwan, she is my best friend of 10 years. Kira Sue, hearing the noise, they turned around in panic. When he saw it was me, a flicker of panic crossed Ji Hwan's face, but he quickly composed himself, even showing a hint of impatience. Ruby Shin, what madness are you up to again? He slowly pulled the quilt over himself and Kira Sue, his tone full of reproach, as if I were the unreasonable intruder. Kira Sue, on the verge of tears, snuggled into his arms, her exposed shoulder covered with ambiguous red marks. Ruby, don't misunderstand. Hwan and I, we just had too much to drink. The exact same opening line as in my previous life. I didn't say a word, just slowly aimed the phone camera at their faces. Ji Hwan finally noticed the phone in my hand and the skyrocketing number of viewers on the screen. His face instantly turned from pale to blue, then from blue to black. Ruby Shin, what are you doing? Turn it off right now, he roared. Throwing off the covers and lunging to snatch my phone, I took a step back, nimbly dodging him. The camera perfectly captured his stark naked, flustered appearance, along with Kira Sue's terrified scream. The barrage has gone completely crazy. My eyes. Ji Hwan actually cheated for real. That woman is Kira Sue. Oh my god. Guard against fire, theft, and your best friend, Ruby Shin. Run. This man is about to hit someone. Record it. Record all of it. This is the evidence. Ji Hwan lunged and missed, glaring at me in humiliated fury, his eyes so dark and menacing they seemed ready to devour me. Are you insane? Do you know the consequences of doing this? Of course I do, I said calmly, looking straight at him, enunciating each word clearly. The consequence is that you, Ji Hwan, the youngest and most promising entrepreneur in City A, will be exposed for cheating on your wife with her best friend, and your reputation will be ruined forever. And she, Kira Sue, a talented designer, knowingly became the other woman, scorned by everyone. Kira Sue's face was as pale as paper. She clutched the blanket, her body trembling uncontrollably. Ruby, you can't do this to me. We're best friends. Best friends. I laughed, but the smile didn't reach my eyes. Would a best friend get into my husband's bed and sleep in our marital home? In the live stream, netizens are outraged. Scumbag man and despicable woman, lock them up together. My heart aches for Rubishan, sending hugs to the beauty. Host, don't be afraid, we're all here. The police have been called. Seeing the words "call the police," Gu Huaiyan's pupils suddenly constricted. He couldn't have a criminal record, and the Gu family couldn't afford the shame. He softened his tone, trying to calm me down. Ruby, we've been husband and wife for so long. Let's not make this so ugly. Turn off the live stream first, and we can talk properly. Whatever compensation you want, I'll give it to you. Compensation. I laughed as if I had just heard the biggest joke. Gu Huaiyan, do you think I lack money? What I lack is the life that was forced out of me by you all in my past life. What I want, you can't give. As soon as the words fell, urgent knocking came from outside the door. Police. Everyone inside. We have received a report and suspect that illegal live streaming is taking place here. Please open the door immediately for inspection. The faces of Gu Huaiyan and Kira Su turned completely ashen. The arrival of the police felt like the climax of a farce. The flashing police lights cast an intermittent glow on Gu Huaiyan and Kira Su's pale faces. They scrambled to find clothes to put on, and their flustered appearance drew a chorus of whistles and jeers from the live stream. I promptly ended the broadcast, and just before the screen went completely black, I said, "Thank you all for watching. That's the end of today's show. I'll post the follow-up on my personal account." My personal account, of course I didn't. But I know that after tonight, there will be an account named Rubishan across the entire internet, with followers numbering in the tens of millions. And that account will become the sword of Damocles hanging over the heads of Gu Huaiyan and Kira Su. After the police came in, they routinely inquired about the situation. I briefly explained the situation and submitted the live stream recording as evidence to the police. Gu Huaiyan tried to defend himself, claiming it was just a misunderstanding between a married couple, but in the face of a misunderstanding witnessed by over 20 million viewers, his defense seemed feeble. In the end, they were taken to the police station for disseminating obscene information on a public online platform. I followed behind to give a statement. Before leaving, Gu Huaiyan turned back and looked at me with a venomous glare. "Rubishan, you will regret this." I responded with a smile. "Regret? What I regret the most is not seeing your true colors earlier in my past life." By the time I left the police station, the sky was beginning to lighten. I hailed a taxi and gave the address of a hotel. I didn't go home. That house, filled with betrayal and filth, I didn't want to spend another second in it. I had just arrived at the hotel when my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law, Gu Huaiyan's mother, Lu Qin. As soon as the call connected, she unleashed a torrent of angry curses. "Rubishan, you venomous woman, our Gu family must have had the worst luck in 8 lifetimes to end up with a troublemaker like you. If anything happens to Huaiyan, I'll skin you alive. Skin me alive." I chuckled softly, my tone lazy. "Ms. Lu, we live in a society governed by law. Making threats carries legal consequences." On the other end of the line, Lu Qin choked for a moment before shrieking in an even higher pitch. "How dare you talk to me about the law? You've completely disgraced the Gu family. I order you to issue a statement immediately, saying you were mentally unstable and slandered us out of malice. Otherwise, I'll make sure you can't stay in City A." "Oh," I drew out the word, my voice dripping with sarcasm. "I'm so scared. However, whether I am mentally unstable is not for you to decide. It must be assessed by a professional institution. As for malicious slander, I have a 1-hour-long high-definition uncensored recording. Would you like to take a look?" "My son, Gu Huaiyan." "In bed." "Shut up." Lu Qin interrupted me furiously, her breathing heavy and ragged like a broken bellows. "I know. What she cares about most is the Shen family's reputation. I just want to personally tear down the face she values the most and trample it underfoot." "Rubishan, what exactly do you want?" Lu Qin's voice carried a hint of barely noticeable exhaustion and compromise. "Simple," I said, leaning back on the soft sofa in the hotel, watching the morning light outside the window. "Divorce, and what's more, I want Gu Huaiyan to leave with nothing." You're dreaming, Lu Qin shrieked. You won't get a single penny of the Jiyu family's assets, is that so? I said slowly, then we'll see each other in court. By then, that video will likely be presented as evidence and played publicly in the courtroom. Oh, and I'll also invite the best media friends in City A to attend the hearing. I've even thought of the headline, a high society scandal. The courtroom romance of the Jiyu family CEO and his socialite best friend. On the other end of the phone, there was a long, dead silence. I can imagine how twisted and ferocious Lu Qin's well-maintained face must look at this moment. After a long while, she finally squeezed out a few words through gritted teeth. You, where are you? Changed your mind? I chuckled. If you've changed your mind, have your lawyer contact me. Oh no, contact my lawyer. Hanging up the phone. I tossed it aside. I know, this battle has only just begun. Lu Qin will not let this go. Jiyu Huarian and Kira Su will never sit idly by. Sure enough. In less than half an hour, the direction of public opinion online began to shift. A lengthy article titled "A Heart-Wrenching Accusation from an Ordinary Girl, a Decade of Friendship, Ultimately Betrayed" quickly gained traction across major platforms. The author was Kira Su. In the article, she portrayed herself as a pitiable figure, humbled by love. She said that she and Jiyu Huarian are truly in love, but because of the interference from me, the vicious legal wife, they had to endure the pain of separation. She said that I am usually arrogant and domineering, either hitting or scolding Jiyu Huarian, treating him as my possession. She said that I had long been aware of her relationship with Jiyu Huarian but kept it hidden, and only today did I set up this vicious trap just to destroy them. I love him, and I am willing to bear all the blame for him. But Ruby, you've won, you've destroyed us, yet you will never win his heart. At the end of the article, a selfie of her with reddened eyes, looking pitiful and delicate, was attached. It must be said that Kira Su knows how to manipulate people's emotions. This whitewashing article, which evades the main issues and distorts the truth, successfully garnered sympathy for her from some people. Public opinion began to polarize. So that's how it is. I was wondering how Mr. Jiyu could cheat. Turns out the wife is the problem. 10 years as best friends, and you steal her husband. Yet still have the nerve to say it's true love. The mistress is so shamelessly self-righteous. Rubishan is truly vicious, using this method to get revenge. All you self-righteous hypocrites, get lost, supporting the wife, tear apart the scumbag man and the shameless woman. My phone started vibrating frantically again, with countless calls and messages from unknown numbers. When I opened them, they were all insults and curses. You bitch, why don't you just die? Leave Mr. Jiyu and Kira alone. You poisonous woman. It seems the Jiyu family's PR team has stepped in. They've bribed online trolls to leak my phone number, trying to pressure me with public opinion. Unfortunately, they've miscalculated. I looked at those unsightly words without a flicker of emotion in my eyes. I turned on my computer and logged into an encrypted email account. Inside, quietly waiting, was an email I had prepared long ago. The recipient was Zhuofeng, the most famous and least ethical paparazzo in City A. The content of the email was simple, just one audio file and a single sentence. A headline for you. You're welcome. Click, send. After doing all this, I turned off the computer, closed the curtains, and fell into a peaceful sleep. Only by getting enough rest can one enjoy a good show. I slept like a log, completely unaware of the world. When I woke up again, the city lights were already glowing outside the window. I opened my phone to find dozens of missed calls and hundreds of unread messages. Some were from Lu Qin, some from Jiyu Huarian, and others from my parents. I first called my parents back to let them know I was safe and not to worry. They were shocked by my decision to divorce, but more than that, they felt heartache and offered their support. Ruby, don't be afraid, Mom and Dad will always have your back. After hanging up the phone, I opened Weibo. Out of the top 10 trending topics, 8 were related to us. Kira Su recording Kira Su's persona collapse scheming bitch Kira Su Rubishan fights back Each entry is followed by a deep red explosive character. Clicking on the first one reveals the audio posted by Zhuofeng. In the audio, it's a conversation between Kira Su and another friend of hers. Kira, are you really going to do this? That's Ruby Shin we're talking about. She's been so good to you. Good, Kira Sue sneered, her voice dripping with jealousy and disdain. She's just lucky to have been born into the Shin family. What right does she have to have everything? Jiyu Huayan and the Jiyu family's wealth should all be mine. But enough with the buts. That fool Jiyu Huayan is already completely infatuated with me. Once I get the shares of the Jiyu Corporation and bear his child, Ruby Shin will have no choice but to get lost. What about Lu Qin, that old woman? She can't wait for me to join the family. She's long been unhappy with Ruby Shin, resenting her for having a family background that overshadows the Jiyu family. The audio is short, but packed with information. It was like a sharp knife, tearing apart the mask of humbling oneself for love that Kira Sue had carefully crafted. It also dragged Lu Qin into the mess along the way. The comment section has completely collapsed. Oh my god, what a shocking twist. Turns out Kira Sue is the real scheming bitch. So disgusting. Enjoying a friend's care while plotting to steal her husband and family fortune. The mother-in-law is also something else, actually helping the mistress go after her daughter-in-law. Ruby Shin did great. You can't go easy on people like this. Under Kira Sue's whitewashing article, there is an overwhelming flood of abusive comments. Those who had previously sympathized with her have now turned against her, criticizing her more harshly than anyone else. My phone rang again, this time from an unfamiliar number. I answered it. Miss Shin, I am Fu Yunshin. The voice on the phone was deep, pleasant, and carried a convincing calmness. Fu Yunshin, the most renowned divorce lawyer in City A, with a decade of practice and an undefeated record. In my previous life, I wanted to hire him, but Lu Qin got to him first. She bought out Fu Yunshin with an exorbitant contract, making him Jiyu Huayan's proxy lawyer. In the end, I was utterly defeated. I will never give her this opportunity again in this lifetime. Hello, Attorney Fu. I suppose you already know why I'm here. Of course, Fu Yunshin chuckled softly. The Jiyu family called just half an hour ago, but I refused. Why? I was somewhat surprised. Given Lu Qin's methods, the price she offered would undoubtedly be one that Fu Yunshin couldn't refuse. Because Fu Yunshin paused, a hint of amusement in his voice. I'm more interested in your live stream. Miss Shin, you're a very interesting person. I raised an eyebrow. You flatter me, Attorney Fu. So, can we discuss my case? Of course. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., my law firm. Are you available? There is. Hanging up the phone, I gazed at the night view outside the window, feeling an unprecedented sense of calm. Fu Yunshin is the most crucial piece in my game of revenge. With him, my chances of winning increase by 90%. The next day, I arrived at Fu Yunshin's law firm on time. He is younger than I imagined, dressed in a well-tailored black suit, with deep and sharp eyes behind his gold-rimmed glasses, as if he could see right through people. Miss Shin, please have a seat. He personally poured me a glass of water and then sat down opposite me. I understand your demands, divorce, and have Jiyu Huayan leave with nothing. Yes, I nodded. Most of the marital assets come from the Shun family's investments and the conversion of my personal premarital property. The startup capital for Jiyu Huayan's company was also provided by my father. I have evidence for all of this. In my previous life, all this evidence was destroyed by Lu Qin using despicable means, but in this lifetime, I have long since moved them to the safest place. Fu Yunshin nodded, his slender fingers tapping lightly on the table. The evidence is very solid, however. The Jiyu family has deep roots in City A, and they will do everything they can to delay and exert pressure. I understand. So, we need to add more fuel to their fire. Fu Yunshin adjusted his glasses, a glint of sharpness flashing in his eyes behind the lenses, a fire that will burn them to ashes completely. The fire Fu Yunshin referred to was a document, a detailed document containing evidence of Jiyu Huayan's company evading taxes, falsifying accounts, and engaging in illegal bidding in recent years. How did you get these? I stared at him in shock. In my past life, I spent a long time investigating these things and only managed to scratch the surface. Yet, Fu Yunshin was able to obtain such a complete chain of evidence in such a short time. Trade secret. He winked at me, a hint of slyness in his smile. All you need to know is that with this, Ji Hoorian won't just leave with nothing. He'll also be spending a few years behind bars. I looked at him, and a warm feeling suddenly welled up in my heart. Attorney Fu, thank you. You're welcome. He pushed the documents in front of me. It's my job, and he paused, looked into my eyes, and said seriously, I also really dislike people who break up families. His gaze was very sincere, making me feel a moment of daze. We reached an agreement. I handed over all the evidence I had to Fu Yunshan. He, in turn, promised to help me resolve everything in the shortest time possible. Stepping out of the law firm, the sunlight was just right. I squinted my eyes and took a deep breath. The air seemed to carry the scent of freedom. Next, it was time to waiting for the GU family, how they struggle in desperation. That afternoon, the stock price of the GU group began to plummet overnight. The market value evaporated by nearly 10 billion. Online, the scandal involving Ji Huayan and Kira Su continues to escalate. The public relations team of the Ji family was already overwhelmed and at their wits' end, yet powerless to turn the situation around. Lu Qin called me again, her voice no longer carrying the arrogance it once had, replaced only by endless exhaustion and resentment. Ruby Shen, what will it take for you to stop? Must you ruin Huayan and destroy the Ji family? It was your son who single-handedly ruined himself and the Ji family. I responded coldly, please, I'm begging you, let him go. If you're willing to drop the lawsuit and issue a statement, I can give you 100 million, no, 500 million, 500 million, she's really willing to go that far. Too bad, the one thing Rubishan, am not short of is money. Ms. Lu, let me say it again, I only want a divorce. And I want him to leave with nothing. Oh, by the way, I interrupted her. I forgot to tell you that I have already reported the illegal activities of the GU Group to the Tax Bureau and the Securities Regulatory Commission under my real name. I believe they will soon invite Mr. GU for a talk. From the other end of the phone came a sharp scream, followed by the sound of something heavy hitting the ground. I knew that Lu Qin had fainted from anger. Serves you right. All of this is the retribution they deserve. The situation has unfolded even more smoothly than I anticipated. The joint investigation team from the Tax Bureau and the Securities Regulatory Commission quickly entered the GU Group. Faced with the irrefutable evidence provided by Fu Yunshan, GU Huarian had no defense: tax evasion, financial fraud, illegal embezzlement of public funds. Each charge is enough to ruin him completely. GU Corporation was sealed off, and all assets were frozen. As the legal representative, Ji Huayan was placed under criminal detention. The youngest and most promising entrepreneur in City A became an inmate overnight. This news, like a heavy bomb, once again shook City A. Yet I, as the central figure in this storm, remained unusually calm. I moved back to the Shen family. My parents didn't ask many questions, but silently prepared everything for me. My father patted my shoulder and said, "Ruby, well done. A daughter of the Shen family cannot let others bully her." My mother, with reddened eyes, hugged me and said, "It's good to have you back. It's good to have you back." The warmth of home finally allowed my nerves, which had been tense for days, to relax. A few days later, I received a phone call from Kira Su. Her voice was hoarse and desperate. "Rubishan, you've won. Are you satisfied?" "I didn't win," I said calmly. "I just took back what was rightfully mine." "You ruined him. You ruined me too," she screamed hysterically. "I was fired from the company, and everyone is calling me a bitch. I don't even dare to go out now. It's all your fault. You were the one who chose this path. I won't let you get away with this. I won't let you get away with this even if I become a ghost." The call was hung up. I listened to the beeping busy tone, feeling nothing. For Kira Su, I can't even be bothered to hate her. She is nothing but a trivial clown on my path of revenge. The real big fish is still to come. My divorce lawsuit with Ji Huarian has begun. Because it involves public figures and commercial crimes, this trial has attracted widespread attention. I sat in the plaintiff's seat, my expression calm and indifferent. Across from me, in the defendant's seat, Ji Huarian was wearing a prison uniform and handcuffs. Looking haggard and devoid of his former confidence and vigor, his eyes were fixed on me. filled with resentment and unwillingness. Lu Qin sat in the first row of the public gallery. In just a few days, she seemed to have aged more than a decade, her hair now mostly grey. The court proceedings were entirely predictable. Fu Yunshan's evidence was flawless: marital infidelity, asset transfers, commercial crimes. Jiyu Huayan's crimes were listed one by one. The lawyer he hired was completely outmatched by Fu Yunshan, unable to put up any resistance. In the end, the judge announced the verdict in court. The divorce between me and Jiyu Huayan was granted. Marital property, due to Jiyu Huayan's significant fault. I am entitled to 90%. The original shares of the Jiyu group belong to me. As for Jiyu Huayan, he will face a prison sentence of more than 10 years. The moment the gavel fell, Lu Qin let out a piercing scream and fainted on the spot. Jiyu Huayan seemed to have all his strength drained as he collapsed into the chair. He looked at me, his lips trembling as if he wanted to say something. But I didn't give him the chance. I stood up and, accompanied by Fu Yunshan, walked out of the courtroom without looking back. Outside, the sun is shining brightly. Countless reporters swarmed around, encircling both Fu Yunshan and me. Miss Shen, are you satisfied with the verdict? Miss Shen, what are your plans next? Will you take over the Jiyu group, Attorney Fu? With this resounding victory in the case, do you have any thoughts you'd like to share? The camera flashes kept going off, making my face appear a bit pale under the bright lights. I paused, turned to face the camera, and offered a composed smile. Justice may be delayed, but it will never be absent. As for the Jiyu group, I paused, my voice clear and resolute, it will soon bear the surname Shen. My words made the front-page headlines of major financial news outlets the very next day. Ruby Shen, a city's new business queen. The fall of the Jiyu family, the rise of the Shen family. Everyone thought it would take me a long time to clean up that mess, but they were all wrong. With Fu Yunshan's help, I swiftly and decisively carried out a sweeping reform of the company. I purged all the old guards of the Jiyu family and replaced them with my own trusted aides, stripped away the non-performing assets and reorganized the business lines, utilizing the Shen family's connections and resources. We quickly infused the company with new vitality. In just 1 month, the company's stock price miraculously stopped falling and began to rise, even surpassing its pre-crisis levels. With my capabilities, I have proven to everyone that I, Ruby Shen, am not just a dodder flower that can only cling to a man. I can also be a queen who stands on her own. That day, I was in the office handling documents when my secretary knocked and entered. President Shen, there's a lady outside asking for you. She says her name is Kira Su. I looked up, somewhat surprised. I thought she would never have the nerve to show her face in front of me again. Let her in. A few minutes later, Kira Su walked in. She had lost a lot of weight, her face was sallow, and she was wearing a faded old coat, no longer the glamorous figure she once was. She looked at me with a complex expression in her eyes. Envy, resentment, and a hint of pleading. Ruby, she began, her voice hoarse. We're not close enough to be on such familiar terms, I said, leaning back in my chair and looking at her indifferently. Her face paled, and she clenched the hem of her clothes tightly. President Shen, I'm here to beg you, beg me. I sounded as if I had heard a joke. What right do you have to beg me? I know I was wrong. She lowered her head, her voice trembling with tears. I shouldn't have been so foolish. I shouldn't have wronged you. Please, for the sake of our 10 years of friendship, give me a way out. I can't find a job now. And I can't even pay the rent. If this continues, I'll really starve to death. She wept with pearly tears, looking pitiful and delicate. In a past life, I might have softened, but now I only feel disgusted. Kira Su, I stood up, walked over to her, and looked down at her. What does it matter to me if you starve to death? When you were scheming against me, why didn't you think to leave me a way out when you and Jiyu Huayan were entangled on my wedding bed? Why didn't you consider our 10 years of friendship? Each of my words was like a knife, stabbing straight into her heart. Her face grew paler and paler, her body swaying unsteadily. Get out, I coldly interrupted her. Don't let me see you again, or I can't promise what I might do. My gaze was as cold as a poisoned blade. Kira Su was so frightened that she took a step back, stumbled as she turned around, and fled as if running for her life. Watching her retreating figure in a panic, I felt no satisfaction at all. I just feel it's pitiful. For a man not worth it, for those elusive desires, she ruined her own life, and almost ruined mine as well. After resolving the little episode with Kirisu, my life has completely gotten back on track. The company is thriving under my management. Fu Yunshin has gone from being my legal representative to becoming my friend. We occasionally have meals together and chat. He is a very knowledgeable and interesting person. With him, I feel an unprecedented sense of relaxation and ease. That day, we met at a newly opened Western restaurant for a meal. He suddenly asked me, "What are your plans for the future?" Plans? I cut into my steak, thought for a moment, and said, "To grow the company well and let my parents enjoy their retirement." "And what about you?" He looked at me with a focused gaze. "Haven't you thought about starting a new relationship?" My hand paused. A relationship? After experiencing Ji Huayan's betrayal, I've become somewhat wary of that word. I haven't thought about it for now. I smiled. Once bitten, twice shy. That snake has already been locked in a cage, Fu Yunshin said softly, and not every rope in the well will bite. His gaze was intense and sincere, making me a little afraid to meet his eyes. I lowered my head and changed the subject. "Speaking of which, I've always been curious. Why did you help me back then? The conditions the Jiyu family offered you must have been far more favorable than mine." Fu Yunshin fell silent for a moment. "Because my mother once went through something similar to what you experienced." His voice was tinged with a barely noticeable sadness. "She was driven to madness by my father and his mistress. And in the end, she jumped off a building and took her own life." I was stunned, never expecting him to have such a heavy past. "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "It's okay. It's all in the past." He smiled at me, though the smile seemed a bit forced. From that moment on, I swore to become the best lawyer, to seek justice for all the women who have been wronged. "So, when I saw your live stream, I knew I had to help you. So that's how it is." I looked at him, my heart filled with mixed emotions. We are both people who have been hurt by betrayal. Perhaps that is why we connect so well. The meal ended in a somewhat heavy atmosphere. On the way back, Fu Yunshin suddenly spoke. "Ruby," he called me by my name, not Miss Shin. "Give me a chance, and give yourself a chance too." "Okay." I looked at him and saw my own reflection in his deep eyes. My heart skipped a beat uncontrollably. When I didn't answer Fu Yunshin immediately, I needed time to sort out my feelings. When I got home, I received an unexpected phone call. It was from the prison. "Jiyu Huarian wants to see me." I hesitated for a moment but eventually agreed. Some things, after all, need to be brought to an end. In the visitation room, separated by a thick pane of glass, I saw Jiyu Huarian again. He looked even more haggard than the last time in court, dressed in a blue and white prison uniform, his hair shaved to a buzz cut, with deep-set eyes and a dull gaze. When he saw me, he became somewhat agitated, the veins on his hand gripping the phone bulging. "Ruby Shin, you poisonous woman." The first words he spoke were still curses. I looked at him calmly without saying a word. He cursed for a while, but seeing that I didn't react, he found it boring and stopped. "What exactly did you do to my mom?" he asked, panting heavily. "What could I do to her?" I retorted. "I simply returned the favor for what she did to our Shin family after I took over the company. The first thing I did was thoroughly investigate the accounts of the Shun family's investment in the Jiyu family from back then. Then I discovered that Lu Qin had abused her position to secretly transfer a large amount of the Shun family's assets, lining her own pockets. I handed the evidence over to the police. Now, she's in too, right next to Jiyu Huayan, in the women's prison. In a different sense, the mother and son have reunited." Jiyu Huayan's eyes instantly reddened. He abruptly stood up, wanting to rush over, but was blocked by the glass. "Ruby Shin, I'll kill you." He frantically pounded on the glass, making loud banging noises. The prison guard immediately rushed over, restrained him, and dragged him away. From beginning to end, my expression did not change in the slightest. Watching his disheveled figure being dragged away, I suddenly found it somewhat laughable. This is the man I loved for over a decade. The one I even died for once. Now, it seems he is nothing but a spoiled, irresponsible coward. Stepping out of the prison, the sunlight was blinding. I saw Fu Yunshan's car parked not far away. He was leaning against the car door, saw me, and smiled at me. Finished talking. How are you feeling? Unprecedentedly good. I looked at him and smiled as well. Fu Yunshan, does what you said last time still count? He was taken aback for a moment, then quickly understood. The joy in his eyes almost overflowing. Of course. He walked quickly to me and took my hand. His palm was warm and dry, full of strength. Ruby, thank you. I should be the one thanking you. We looked at each other and smiled. The sunlight above was warm and bright. I know, my life has finally turned a new page. All the darkness and pain are now in the past. The future will be a smooth and open road. After being with Fu Yunshan, life feels like sugar with honey. Sweet just right. He is an impeccable partner. Gentle, considerate, and respectful of all my decisions. He remembers my menstrual cycle and prepares brown sugar water and heating pads for me in advance when I'm exhausted from work. He quietly massages my shoulders. He watches boring idle dramas with me and laughs along when I complain about the plot. Every day spent with him is filled with small, warm moments of happiness. Only then did I realize that love could be like this. It's not about possession or control, but about equal support and a resonance of souls. My career is also getting better and better. Under my leadership, the Shun Group has firmly secured the top position in the business world of City A. I have become an idol and role model for countless women. Occasionally, I still hear some news about Jiyu Huiyan and Kira Su. I heard that Jiyu Huiyan has been behaving poorly in prison, repeatedly violating rules, and his sentence has been extended. Lu Qin, due to her old age and poor health, fell seriously ill in prison and passed away not long after. As for Kira Su, her fate was the most tragic. That day, while I was reviewing a financial report, Fu Yunshan suddenly pushed the door open and entered. His expression somewhat grave. Ruby, take a look at this. He handed the phone to me. On the screen was a piece of social news. A woman found under the overpass. No signs of life. In the accompanying image, the woman curled up in a filthy corner, her face beyond recognition. Faintly resembled the outline of Kira Su. The report says she died of a drug overdose. After I drove her out, she had nowhere to turn, became addicted to drugs, and eventually died on the streets. I looked at that photo without a single ripple of emotion in my heart. Pitiful people must have their detestable traits. Her current situation today is entirely of her own making. I turned off my phone, looked up, and smiled at Fu Yunshan. It's all in the past, it's all in the past. He walked over and hugged me from behind. From now on, you have me. I lean against his warm embrace, feeling his steady heartbeat, and my heart is at peace. Yes, it's all in the past. Those who hurt me have already paid the price, and I, too, have found my own happiness, given a second chance at life. I have not wasted the gift from heaven. I have become the person I most wanted to be. Proud, independent, and radiant. Outside the window, the night was gentle. I turned my head and kissed Fu Yunshan's lips. There is still a long life ahead of us. We have all the time in the world. The end. That's all for the first story. Don't go away. The next one is even more exciting. In an era of material scarcity, Gray Qin used the family's last 60 jin of grain coupons to buy 2 movie tickets, just to fulfill the dream of his sister-in-law, who had just lost her husband, to watch a movie, but my baby was crying loudly from hunger. I scolded that woman for being shameless, but he protected her and scolded me, saying, "You only lost your ration tickets, but she lost her family. She just wanted to taste a bit of happiness. Can't you be a little more understanding?" I went home and threw a tantrum, but the whole family sided with my widowed sister-in-law. It was only later that I learned this woman was Gray Qin's long-lost ex-wife, and the stepson I was raising for him was also born to his ex-wife. I turned and walked away, determined to take my fate into my own hands, until the famine struck, and I sat in the car watching him fight fiercely with his beloved sister-in-law over a bite of food. The rice jar at home was empty, the baby was crying from hunger, and the 7-year-old stepson was also jumping around in hunger. My in-laws complained about how I didn't take good care of the food coupons. I searched the entire house but couldn't find the food coupons I had saved for half a year. I panicked and hurriedly carried my 6-month-old baby on my back to my husband's factory to find him, but I saw him walking out of the cinema, laughing and chatting with a woman he called his sister-in-law. I looked down and saw the half of the movie ticket receipt he was trying to hide. Everyone knows how hard it is to get a movie ticket. It's something money can't easily buy. On top of that, this was the first time a cinema had opened in our county, making it even more difficult. He must have begged for a long time to get that ticket. Right, yesterday, the neighbor's son made a fuss all night, and his usually indulgent parents were forced to yell. Watching a movie once is equivalent to the whole family going hungry for 3 months. That's a full 60 gin of grain coupons. Who could bear to watch it? The neighbor's family of 3 had 2 working adults, while my family of 7 had only 1, yet my husband just went and watched it anyway. I remember when I first heard the word movie, I was full of longing, unable to imagine people singing, acting, and fighting inside a screen. What kind of situation is this? Back then, Gretchen tapped my nose and promised me, when we have a cinema here, I'll be the first to go watch a movie with you. As long as you're happy, everything is worth it. But now, he doesn't even dare to mention a single word about movies to me. Willing to spend 3 months' worth of his family's food ration tickets for another woman. Joy, seeing me approach, Liang Yuan was taken aback. Clearly having noticed Gretchen's gesture, she opened her mouth to say something, but upon seeing the baby in my arms, she shrank back. Gretchen stepped forward to shield her, reassuring her, "It's all right, I'm here. You're the sister-in-law, and she's the younger sister-in-law. There's no reason for a younger sister-in-law to disrespect her elder sister-in-law. She won't mind." Liang Yuan playfully punched him in the chest and scolded, "It's all because you insisted on switching to movie tickets. You're a married man with kids, yet you're still like this. What's the rush? Isn't this your sister-in-law coming over? All right, you've seen it all. Dare you say you're not happy? As long as you're happy, sister-in-law, all of this is worth it. This is what I, as your brother-in-law, the duty of a younger brother, but we didn't bring our younger siblings along. In the end, it's all my fault. She doesn't have the time. She has to take care of the baby and the household. Don't blame yourself. It's just a movie, and I can still treat you. Sister-in-law, you're too kind." They acted as if no one else was around, the atmosphere familiar and intimate. Before I could speak, Gretchen said in a deep voice, "Whatever it is, we'll talk about it at home. I'll give you the explanation you want." He glanced at the baby in my arms, who was so hungry that tears welled up in its eyes. Whimpering weakly, he gave me a deep look, the reproach in his eyes unmistakable. He's blaming me for being cunning, for holding the emperor hostage to command the nobles. But with so many people coming and going around, it's inconvenient to make a scene. Still not going back. Whose wife is it that's embarrassing herself by holding a child at the movie theater entrance? After saying that, he took the lead and walked off with Liang Yuan, paying no mind to anyone else. As the sun set in the west, the two of them chatted and laughed, discussing the finer details of the movie. It's just like a loving couple. A month ago, Gretchen brought a woman home. He said his half-brother had died in an accident, leaving behind his newlywed wife all alone, with no source of income and too afraid to return to her parents' home. He took it upon himself to bring her back. At the time, he assured me, "Don't worry, Nuan, once I find the right opportunity to settle her, we'll close our door and live our own lives. Little one, given the current situation, it's just a matter of adding one more bowl and pair of chopsticks. Could you please do a good deed and help her?" He said Liang Yuan is a pitiful person, timid and lacking survival skills, abandoned by her parents at a young age. She could only drift along, trafficked from place to marry someone. If it weren't for her older brother protecting her before, she might have starved to death. I tried to explain our family's current situation to him. We're not well off, with a household of 7, and adding one more person would only, even more difficult. My sister-in-law is getting married next year and needs to save for her dowry. His parents currently have no income, and he has a 7-year-old son who will soon start school, while I am still at home taking care of the baby. But he said, "It's okay, I've got it all covered. Everyone else has agreed, they're just waiting for my opinion." I looked at his sincere request and couldn't bear the thought of him being criticized by others, so I gritted my teeth and agreed. That very day, he brought his widowed sister-in-law into the house. It turned out he had already had his widowed sister-in-law waiting outside the door, certain that I wouldn't refuse. Even if I had refused, he would have found a way to make me agree. In that case, why bother with the extra effort? After leading me inside, he busied himself tidying up the largest sunroom in the house, which had just been newly built, the one he had promised me for my postpartum recovery, the room given to me by my son. I instinctively asked, Gray-chin, isn't this the room you promised me? He didn't even ask for my opinion before making the decision to give the room promised to me to someone else. Does he even care about me? What's the matter with you? She's your sister-in-law and just went through the loss of her husband. Are you really going to make a fuss over a room? I felt wronged, my eyes reddening. How could he think of me that way? If only he had asked for my opinion, how could I have refused? Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I swallowed my pride and took the child to visit my best friend Lin Xiong, until the little one finally got to eat some rice. Blurred. My heart finally settled down, watching Lin Xiong's face transform from rough to the delicate complexion she now maintains. I glanced down at my own increasingly calloused hands and voiced, my plan, I want a divorce. Lin Xiong's hands holding the baby froze, her face full of disbelief. Your Gray-chin is so outstanding and treats you so well. How could you bear to leave him? Before Liang Yuan came, he was indeed very good to me. There was love between us. He remembered all my preferences, remembered everything about me, and was willing to spend all his savings just to marry me. For me, he was once injured, drank himself unconscious to marry me, and quit smoking just because I said I didn't like men who smoke. But now, the young man who used to blush and feel excited at the sight of me has turned into someone who humiliates me in public for the sake of unrelated people and starves my baby to please another woman. I'm also finding it harder and harder to remember the good things he once did for me. He brought a woman into the house, claiming she was his widowed sister-in-law, and even exchanged 60 jin of grain coupons for movie tickets. I told Lin Xiong everything that happened today, without any expression, as if I were narrating something that happened to someone else, like Lin Xiong wanted to stand up for me, but I stopped her, after driving her away. What then? Am I supposed to just keep living with him? Would that even? Will there be another Liang Yuan? It's not that he changed, he just doesn't love as much anymore. I clearly wasn't sad, yet the scalding tears just fell. I thought I would be the exception, but I didn't expect the outcome to be the same. I said firmly, I've thought it through clearly. I don't want to continue living with him. I want a divorce. As the saying goes, out of sight, out of mind. Since his heart is no longer with me, why should I cling to him? I thought Lin Xiong would advise me to endure for the sake of the children, given how tough life can be, but she said she respects my decision and that I can always turn to her if I need anything. Anything. With her as a shot of adrenaline, I no longer fear anything. When I got home, hot rice was already cooked in the stove, and they invited me to sit down and eat. Gray-chin carefully looked at me and slipped something into my hand. It was the moisturizing cream I had been longing for. I had mentioned it once before, and he said the supply and marketing cooperative was out of stock, but he bought it for Liang Yuan the very next day she arrived. He set the bowl and chopsticks for me, filling a large bowl with rice. Yuan, we have plenty of food at home, so eat as much as you want. He paused. Liang Yuan is new here, and she has lost my brother. Leaving her with no one to rely on, as his younger brother, it's only right that I take care of her more. She's been feeling down, so I thought of taking her out to lift her spirits, hoping she can soon move past the grief of losing her husband. Can you understand? Please, my mother-in-law chimed in from the side. Nuanuan, let the matter of the ration tickets be in the past. Gray will bring more ration tickets back by the end of the month. Let's just let this go. If your sister-in-law sees you with a long face, she might overthink it and become even more upset. Clearly, I wasn't the one who did anything wrong, but in their eyes, I was at fault for being too petty, giving a cold shoulder to my widowed sister-in-law, and I'm expected to tolerate it. My father-in-law sat with a grim face, silently smoking his pipe, completely ignoring the presence of my baby and me. I quickly carried the baby back to the inner room, watching her sleep so soundly. I silently made a resolution in my heart. My dear, you will support Mommy's decision, won't you? I will never let my baby compete for attention and suffer mistreatment from an unrelated person. After settling the baby, I walked up to them, looked around, and pointed at my father-in-law, asking, Gray-chin, does your dad not know that the baby and I are here and shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke? Why hasn't anyone said anything to him? Is this how you show consideration for me? I will always remember when Liang Yuan first came and coughed at the smell of my father-in-law's cigarette smoke. He immediately put out the cigarette and consciously walked outside. But whether I was pregnant or in confinement after giving birth, my father-in-law still did as he pleased. Even though Gray-chin had repeatedly hinted at it tactfully, he still didn't change. My voice was colder than ever before. You all said that Liang Yuan is new here and needs to be taken good care of. But what about me? Am I not new here too? She just arrived, and I gave her my best bedding, clothes, and daily necessities, whatever she needed, as long as she asked. When did I ever fail to provide it for her? I'm still taking care of the baby, yet I work tirelessly from dawn to dusk for this family, doing housework, cooking, and laundry. Sister-in-law, have you ever helped, trading £60 of grain coupons for 2 movie tickets? What kind of fortune do you have to squander like this? The baby is still hungry. How do you expect me to handle this? If you won't think of me, won't you at least think of the baby? The new year is almost here, and without grain coupons, the whole family will starve. Really, the fury in my chest almost burst out. It turns out I had endured so much grievance for him. He had always known, and the person who once promised to treat me well was just paying lip service. Yet, when it comes to others, his ability to act and execute is terrifyingly strong. Father-in-law's face darkened, and he kicked the dog at his feet to vent his anger. Such a temper. Gray-chin looked guilty, and mother-in-law pursed her lips. Just then, there was a noise at the door, and Liang Yuan appeared with my 7-year-old stepson, carrying large and small bags. I didn't realize it would have such a big impact on your life. I'll just leave. Liang Yuan's tears fell, and everyone else panicked, gathering around to comfort her, helping to carry all her newly bought things back to her room. I saw that among the things in her hands were candy, snacks, body wash, shampoo. Gray-chin's face instantly turned cold. Can you stop being unreasonable? Everyone who comes is a guest. If you keep making a scene, the neighbors will see and will become the laughingstock of the street. As for Dad smoking, I'll remind him to be more careful. Mom has taken on the simple chores like laundry and cooking, so you can just focus on taking care of the baby at home. I'll figure out the food ration issue. We won't starve, no matter what. As for Liang Yuan, she's about to start work soon, so she'll be spending even less time at home. Given the current circumstances, you'll have to bear with it, endure it. Going to work, I immediately thought of the job the supply and marketing cooperative boss had promised me before my vacation, and tentatively asked, I'll be starting work in a few days too. I had an arrangement with the supply and marketing cooperative boss. He interrupted me. I've already arranged it with the supply and marketing cooperative. Liang Yuan will go in your place. He said it so matter-of-factly, as if the job at the supply and marketing cooperative, something countless people would fight tooth and nail to get, could just be handed over to someone else with a single, casual remark. How could he be so shameless? My blood boiled, and for the first time, I found him hypocritical and disgusting. That's my job. What gives you the right to decide for me? He explained, you just stay home and take good care of Xiaobao and Chinka. My parents are getting old and can't be relied on, so you need to be more attentive at home. Besides, I can still support our family. You don't need to work so diligently. Taking care of your health is the most important thing. Liang Yuan is new here and can't find a job for now, so it's best for her to take over your work. He didn't let me ask more and turned to go into Liang Yuan's room. Now he makes decisions without consulting me, and no longer pays attention to my reactions. My 7-year-old stepson, caught off guard by the situation, suddenly pushed me. I don't like you anymore. I was left alone, fallen on the ground in the courtyard. While scattered voices around me spoke one after another, each of them trying to comforting their newly welcomed sister-in-law, daughter-in-law, and aunt. Only I am an outsider. When I first arrived, my stepson was dressed sloppily, his face covered in snot and drool, thin and small. It was I who meticulously cared for and nurtured him every day, asking about his well-being and treating him as my own child. Gray-Chin said he was born into poverty, with no father or mother. An orphan left by some brother. Out of pity, he was taken in and raised, but I've raised him for so long, yet he remains an ungrateful wretch. I got up, stopped feeling sorry for myself, glanced at my sleeping baby, and hurried out the door. I've thought it through. This marriage absolutely has to end. So I need to make thorough preparations to be able to leave. Most importantly, I must not let the baby is suffering along with me. I went straight to the supply and marketing cooperative. I worked hard to secure this job opportunity, so why should I just hand it over to someone else? When I arrived at the supply and marketing cooperative, the boss recognized me and said, "I was actually waiting for you to come to work, but I didn't expect. You're so fortunate. Your husband can't bear to let you work." He actually said this to the boss. To let Liang Yuan take over my job, he took it upon himself to communicate directly with the boss and brought Liang Yuan in. All under the guise of being a model husband. If he truly loves selfless dedication so much, why doesn't he give his sister's job to his dear widowed sister-in-law? I explained the situation to the boss and assured him that I would definitely come to work, starting immediately tomorrow. The boss's wife is also very understanding and has promised to keep the position for me, saying I can bring my baby to look after if needed. After sorting out my job, I went to consult about divorce matters. I definitely can't take the house, but other things, like the radio, the electric, I am determined to get both the television and the bicycle. On the way back, Aunt Zhong from the neighboring village saw me from afar and called me over to her side, looking all mysterious. She is my mother-in-law's. That's right. Usually the two of them never interact with each other. I slowly moved over to her side, and she didn't get annoyed. "Is your Gray-Chin treating you well?" Seeing my puzzled expression, she went on by herself. "Girl, you really have a big heart. He's already brought his ex-wife back home. The whole family is. Don't you have any objections to all this harmony?" TSK. I saw her today carrying big and small bags, buying a whole bunch of stuff from the supply and marketing cooperative. The money and coupons were all given by your Gray-Chin. Right, how can you be so kind? Oh, by the way, your stepson is also that woman's child. Aren't you afraid that one day they'll reconcile and kick you out of the house? Hearing these words, my ears buzzed and my mind went blank. For a moment, I couldn't hear anything. My sanity was shattered into pieces. It was all lies. How dare they? If they had honestly told me and discussed it with me. Sincerity for sincerity. I might not have been unreasonable. But what about them? They brought the person in without a word and only pretended to ask for my opinion afterward. Once my opinion didn't align with their wishes, it became my fault, and the whole family isolated me alone. Does Gray-Chin want to reconcile with his ex-wife? Why did you have to find such a disgusting excuse to brush me off? And you actually said it was his widowed sister-in-law. Fine. The whole family is lying to me. They all treat me like a fool. I left a message and hurriedly went to find Lin Xiong. I know now. Thank you, Aunt Zhong. When I arrived at Lin Xiong's house, the atmosphere was very oppressive. She told me that the wave of layoffs might be coming, and her husband had received news. Several provinces and regions have already experienced waves of layoffs, forcing many middle-aged and young people out of work, with numerous related issues expected to follow. The issue is that famine is the worst outcome. Nuan, you better be prepared, especially that idiot Gray-Chin who actually traded 60 pounds of grain coupons just for movie tickets. What's wrong with your mind? If the layoff wave really hits here, you'll just starve if you follow him. I told Lin Xiong everything I had found out. And her husband was so furious that he immediately wanted to teach him a lesson on my behalf. I only made one request of him, to do everything in his power to help me get a divorce as soon as possible. I need to secure the rights and benefits I deserve before the wave of layoffs hits. When I got home, I could hear loud laughter from inside. Everyone was having a great time. No one seemed to care or worry about where I had been. As soon as the door opened, the laughter inside abruptly stopped. I didn't look at them and went straight to the bedroom to check on my baby. After entering the inner room, Gray-Chin brought over a bowl of soup. I noticed you haven't eaten much. This is a brown sugar and egg soup I made for you. It has brown sugar, and the egg is Mom's way of making it up to you. Yes, she said you've been working hard lately. Finally, he added, this is only for you. No one else gets to have it, not even Liang Yuan. Can you stop sulking now? In his eyes, my current behavior is just sulking, being unreasonable, brooding, and jealous. But I've already figured it out. I gave myself a week to make all the necessary preparations. Once I secured a stable life for myself and my baby, I would leave and divorce him, letting his family reunite. I didn't hold back. I took the soup and drank it right away. My baby still needs breast milk, so I can't neglect my own health. After finishing the soup, I put down the bowl. The spot where the TV used to be was now replaced by a box. I thought he had a change of heart, but it turns out he was setting a trap here, trading a bowl of egg drop soup for a television. What a clever plan. Gray-Chin noticed my gaze and awkwardly explained, Kua kept insisting on watching TV, and if the television stayed in our bedroom, it would also disturb the baby. So, where did you move it to? I just remembered, when I passed by Liang Yuan's house earlier, the whole family was in there, so that's why. They have a television now, I chuckled. Whose idea was it? You moved the dowry I brought when we got married into another woman's bedroom. Can you stop calling her another woman? She's your sister-in-law. I just don't understand why you can't accept her. One person. How could she possibly be in your way? Isn't it just about the movie ticket? I promise you, next time I can exchange for a movie ticket, I'll let you go, see it. Is that fair enough? You don't even have time to watch the TV. So why are you hogging it? You're acting like a miser right now. What difference does it make whose room the TV is in? I glanced at the sleeping baby, desperately suppressing my emotions. After walking into the living room, I sneered at him. Are you sure you've been fair and just? I pointed at the pile of things in Liang Yuan's room. How long have I been married to you? Have you ever bought me as much as she bought today? A full 60 jin of grain ration tickets. And you just exchanged them like that. Changed, only enough to watch one movie. Do you think that's fair to me? The TV is my dowry. No one can take it away. If you want it, then bring money to buy it. It's not the right time yet. I can't impulsively talk to him about divorce. I need to take this opportunity to convert whatever can be exchanged for money or ration coupons into cash. Exchange it if it can be exchanged. I want to see if they'll go crazy when famine comes. With all these things they can only look at but not eat. He gave me a deep look, left behind an unreasonable remark, and slammed the door as he walked out, noticing the commotion on my side. Liang Yuan glanced at me and curled her lips. She showed off the new clothes she bought today and, holding her stepson in her arms, deliberately asked, Xiao Ku, do you prefer staying in my room or Auntie Nuan's room? I've got toffee and a TV to watch here. I ran straight to her room, quickly grabbed the TV, turned around, and walked out the door. Liang Yuan was stomping her feet behind me, and Tan Ku was wailing, calling me a bad person and a nuisance. My in-laws rushed out from the inner room and shouted after me, but how could they possibly catch up with me in a foot race? I sold the television to the Supply and Marketing Cooperative, exchanged it for grain ration coupons, and pocketed them. The shopkeeper recommended the newly arrived infant formula to me, and I bought it without hesitation. From today on, my child and I will no longer scrimp and save. After marrying Gray-Chin, his family has many mouths to feed. And he is the only one with a salary. Life was tight, and to keep him from working too hard, I had to count the days as they passed. But when he spent 60 pounds of grain without even blinking, I no longer felt sorry for him. After returning home, Tan Ku was still sobbing and crying, while everyone else was busy trying to comfort him. In the bedroom, Gray-Chin had been waiting for me all along. The baby was already awake at this point, smiling cheerfully at me, and I no longer felt filled with hostility. I took out the purchased formula to prepare it, and Gray-Chin tried to come over to help, but I ignored him. My baby really enjoyed drinking it, with an expression that seemed to say, so there's something this delicious in the world. supplies were scarce. And my breast milk wasn't sufficient. Most of the time, I could only feed my little one rice porridge. Today, I finally splurged a little. I won't let my child suffer with me in the future. Did you sell the television? Seeing that I didn't respond, he said resentfully. I was wrong before. I admit I've been neglecting you lately. This is the grain ration ticket I borrowed, and some money. Take it all. I'll take what he gives me. It's what I deserve. The night passed without incident. I slept with the baby, while he slept alone outside. I treated him as if he were heir. Seeing me about to leave early in the morning, my mother-in-law stood at the door, stomping her feet anxiously. Nuan, could you go outside and borrow some food? Our rice jar is completely empty. A child as young as Chinka has been, not eating enough might affect your health. When her son used 60 jin of grain coupons to exchange for movie tickets and starved my baby, she said nonchalantly that they had all been through the same. Now, just because her grandson might miss one meal, she expects me to swallow my pride and borrow grain. My mother-in-law is best at using such tricks. Knowing full well I won't just stand by and do nothing. Over the years since I married into the family, she has subtly and overtly hinted for me to spend money on them. My own dowry. Mom, didn't you say I didn't need to worry about the food ration coupons? And didn't you say it's okay for a child to go hungry for a few meals? That it would actually make them easier to raise? She looked stunned, probably not expecting me to talk back to her directly. By the way, the baby and I have been eating at Lin Xiong's place these past few days and borrowed 10 pounds of grain coupons. If you have any, please return them to her. Home, this. I don't have it either. Afraid that I might make more demands, she quickly slipped away, not daring to speak openly. Since Grey Chin's factory has already started workforce optimization, if any scandal involving men and women were to break out at home, Grey Chin could lose his job. Many people are eyeing Grey Chin's position with envy, and many are also starting to tighten their purse strings. Even those with food at home are hesitant to lend it out. While they weren't paying attention, I quickly took some items that could be converted into cash to the supply and marketing cooperative to exchange. In just 3 days, I will be able to leave them with a sense of pride and satisfaction. The usually bustling street has started to become quiet today, with a few merchants gathering to discuss countermeasures. Have you received any goods recently? It's been days for me, and the goods haven't arrived. The boss who originally placed the order can't be reached, so I have no choice but to raise the price for the little stock I have left. Yes, it's really strange. The goods used to arrive on time before, but now it's been several days and they still haven't come. The harvest hasn't been good either. If this continues, we'll starve sooner or later. Really, could it be that a famine is actually about to happen? Hearing this, I quickened my pace. I went to the supply and marketing cooperative first, and as soon as the shopkeeper saw me, she hurriedly handed me a letter. Li Nuan, come quickly. Is this your letter? It was mailed by my parents 2 weeks ago. And I vaguely sensed that something big was really about to happen. Sure enough, my parents said in the letter that several major grain-producing provinces had already run out of food and were beginning to experience famine, urging me to quickly go and find them, assuring me that as long as they were there, I would have something to eat. Second brother is a traveling merchant, constantly journeying north and south, so his information is the most reliable. Lin Xiong also brought her husband to the supply and marketing cooperative, so I quickly prioritized exchanging dozens of pounds of grain coupons, and meat coupons for her, and took the opportunity to share the news from home with her. As a result, we stocked up on plenty of dried goods, meat, and grain. I reassured Lin Xiong's worried gaze. It's okay, you all get ready first. I'll go with you tomorrow. I'm almost done here, if a famine really occurs. Just stockpiling goods won't be enough. The terrifying side of human nature will be revealed in its entirety, with arson, rape, and robbery happening frequently. The only way to survive is to stay far away. After seeing Lin Xiong off, Grey Chin arrived late with Liang Yuan, who was dressed very exquisitely, looking more like she was going shopping than coming to work. Upon seeing me, Liang Yuan immediately stopped my busy figure. Nuanuan, you can go back and take care of the baby. I'll handle this. From now on, this job is mine, She is so shameless. Don't you have any shame? I'm doing my job perfectly well. Why should I let you take over? You want to get something for nothing without putting in any effort. How ridiculous. My blunt words made her face turn pale and then flush with anger. Gray Qin stepped forward and lowered his voice. Didn't we agree? You'd give this job to Liang Yuan, and you'd stay home to take good care of Xiaobao. Isn't it better? What exactly do you want? Give it to her. But I have two conditions. First, we get a divorce. I don't need any of the things in the house. But the house, before Liang Yuan arrived, there was still 120 yuan left in the deposit, which I took. And I was compensated an additional 50 yuan for this job. Xiaobao belongs to me. He pulled me outside. Are you crazy? You want to get a divorce over a job? You weren't like this before. I just stared at him intently, wondering how thick-skinned he had to be to argue with me without blushing or feeling guilty. Liang Yuan is your ex-wife, right? Qin Ku is her child, isn't he? If you want to bring her home, just say so. I'll part with you amicably, yet you had to come up with such a disgusting lie. Don't you find it nauseating yourself? He instinctively said. How could you? You see, your first instinct was to keep it from me for as long as possible, never even considering telling me the truth. Your whole family has been making a fool out of me. Now you want to give all my work to her. What are you really up to? Are you waiting for the right moment to kick me and Xiaobao out of the house? He tried to grab my hand, but I dodged it. He looked frustrated. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I thought I could handle it. I did marry Liang Yuan back then. But later, after the famine at home and being separated from her, I got to know you through an introduction. I wasn't good enough for you back then, so Mom told the matchmaker that I was unmarried and that Chinka was adopted. I didn't argue or explain. I was so afraid of missing the chance with you. I couldn't bear to listen any longer. Later, Lin Xiong's husband will bring the divorce papers, and we'll get divorced immediately. Don't force me to make a scene. It's your fault. Remember me. After saying that, I dashed into the supply and marketing cooperative. Now whatever I say, they can only agree. And Liang Yuan looked at me even more smugly from the side, as if to say she had snatched her husband back. But she didn't know that from this moment on, Gray Qin would forever feel guilty toward me, and he would do everything in his power to fulfill the demands I made. He satisfied all my conditions. I don't know where Gray Qin got the money, but he met all my demands. Still, he looked at me with hope in his eyes. Yuan, can you not leave? I'll have Liang Yuan move out, now that she has a job. She should be able to support herself. What about Tan Ku? She's Tan Ku's mother. Can you really stop her from visiting him? And your family would prefer Liang Yuan to come back, wouldn't they? We treated her this way only because we felt sorry for how much she's suffered all these years. Yes, in their eyes and hearts, they've always felt guilty and sorry for Liang Yuan. So I became the one to sacrifice. But why should I? Why should I be the one to sacrifice? Why should I endure such grievances? Why should I be treated unfairly? He moved his lips, eager to say something, but unfortunately, I would never change my mind again. I took Lin Xiong and the others, pulling the ox cart, and returned home together, loading my dowry, clothes, and daily necessities into the cart. The stepson, upon seeing this, threw himself on the ground, rolling around and wailing at the top of his lungs. You're a bad person. Why do you have to take my family's things? I won't let you take them. The mother-in-law came over at this point. Nuan, could you please leave the thermos behind? What will Ku drink for hot water at night? And that radio, could you leave it here? Lin Xiong retorted angrily. Auntie, these are all Nuan's dowry. Isn't it inappropriate to leave them here, if you really need them? Why not just go to the supply and marketing cooperative to buy them? After all, your ex-daughter-in-law had the nerve to take Nuan's job at the cooperative, didn't she? The mother-in-law immediately fell silent. Gray Qin was still trying to stop me. The baby is still so young. Can you take care of her all by yourself? I promise I won't have any contact with Liang Yuan from now on. Can you please stay? Nuan, I haven't had enough time with you yet. Lin Xiong rushed forward, rolling up her sleeves and warning, you're the worst. You've already brought your ex-wife into the house, and you still dare to stop our Nuan from leaving. Do you think you're an emperor with 3 wives and 4 concubines? Think carefully. Can you even afford to support a family of 7 at this moment? Liang Yuan had also returned, standing by the side with a dejected expression. Brother Gray Qin, I'm sorry, I didn't know it would lead to this between you and Nuanuan. I never wanted to break you two apart. I should have just died out there, so you and Xiao Ku could have lived a peaceful life. After saying this, she was about to throw herself against the doorframe. Gray Qin, who was closest to her, remained expressionless and showed no intention of stopping her. She reluctantly stopped, walked over to her stepson, picked him up, and began to comfort him. The father-in-law made the final decision. If Li Nuan wants to leave, let her go. Liang Yuan has always been a member of our Qin family. Gray Qin, don't pick up the sesame seeds and lose the watermelon. I left them with a remark. My parents wrote to say that a famine has broken out elsewhere. You'd better take care of yourselves. Gray Qin has a job. Liang Yuan works at the supply and marketing cooperative, and there's only one child at home. If they starve to death, it would truly be fate. I picked up little Bao and turned to leave. Gray Qin chased after me, his face full of regret, and promised, Nuan, I was really wrong. I'll take you to the movies at the end of the year. Okay, please don't leave me. All right, but I won't look back. The further I went, the more anxious I became. The road south was getting harder, and the crops around were almost all in a state of decay, with hardly any wildlife to be seen. Lin Xiong's father even joked with us, saying that if a famine really happened in the past, even the tree bark would be gnawed clean. We carefully guarded our belongings along the way. More and more people began heading south, and supplies became increasingly scarce. On the 4th day after we set out, Lin Xiong's husband received news that the famine had indeed started to spread to this area. It began with many factories shutting down and workers being laid off. I heard that Gray Qin's factory was also affected. Then, in less than a week, supply and marketing cooperatives started closing their doors. Many supplies became impossible to obtain. Even with desperate efforts, people began shutting themselves indoors, and the smarter ones had already started moving their entire families away, heading south. However, many of the main roads heading south were blocked, so people began migrating into the mountains. Our group of more than 10 people wandered for nearly a month before finally arriving at the county town where my parents lived, thanks to the information provided by my second brother. Our family had made thorough preparations to face the famine. In order to help more people, we are also doing what we can within our means. The days passed by in a tense and fast-paced manner, and my second brother and I started doing business together. We would do anything that could make money, trading grains, clothing, shoes, and crop seeds, gradually allowing us to put down roots in the county town. After saving up my first pot of gold, it just so happened that the country had made a breakthrough in hybrid rice technology. People were rushing to plant hybrid rice, and we seized the opportunity by selling agricultural machinery, fertilizers, and purchasing grain. In less than half a year, I opened a shop, bought a car, and had more movies to watch than I could finish. Later, refugees entered the city and became the cheapest laborers. I saw Gray Qin and Liang Yuan again, this time among the refugee crowd. The two of them fought fiercely over a steamed bun, and from a distance, Gray Qin's angry voice could be heard. Liang Yuan, Mom is starving to death. That bun isn't for you. Spit it out. They were disheveled and dressed in rags, fighting over food like wild dogs. As I passed by them in a car, I slowly tossed a few buns out the window, causing them to scramble for the food once again. Gray Qin, back then, you were willing to spend 60 jin of grain coupons just to make her smile. But now you won't even share a bite of food with her. Your love is really cheap. As the car accelerated, I charged forward with determination. My life has only just begun. That's all for today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.